And I ended up going into labor and eventually going into the hospital on June 20th. I was like, this has to be contractions. Like, it was so painful. Was happening like every like 10 to 12 minutes. And I was like getting like really, really bad contractions. And I was like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm in labor. But my contractions are pretty painful, I would say.
So where are you having your pain at? Is it all in your...
No, right now it's in the front, but I was having a lot in the back. So what, 7 hours from the time I got to the hospital, I was already 6 centimeters. My contractions were so bad that I kept throwing up. She gave me some ginger ale, I like threw that up.
Bucket. Oh no.
Where's it?
Here. Oh. She's throwing up. Hold on.
Throughout that process, I had no medication. I did not get the epidural yet. My contractions were getting closer together. They were getting more intense. I was still hooked up to the IV fluids. I was just like in the bed, sitting up, walking around, trying to do everything I could just to like speed up the process. But I was stuck at 6 centimeters. I was just like, I don't understand like why I'm not progressing. Like I was like, I'm stuck. This isn't helping, like whatever. But once I got the epidural, like I was like a completely different person. I went from like being like so miserable. My face was just like balled up the whole time. So I was just like, I was like crying, then laughing, then crying. And cause I was just like, my emotions were all over the place. And then about when I was 6 centimeters, when the nurse that came in to check me, I asked for the epidural and she was like, okay, you want it now? And I was like, yes, I need the epidural, like whatever. So I remember like laying there and I was waiting for the doctor to come in to say, you know, we're ready to give you epidural, whatever. So I remember like laying there and my contractions were so bad. So I was like, I felt like I had to pee. So I like went to the bathroom and I don't think I had to pee. I think it was just the pressure of Logan that was like making it seem like I had to pee. So I went to the bathroom and I was just like sitting on the toilet. Like, I don't know, when I get my period, sitting on the toilet seems to help. I don't know why, but that's something that helps. So I had that like same like sensation that I had when I got my period. So I was like, I think sitting on the toilet's gonna help. That's what I thought. So I like went in the bathroom and I was like sitting on the toilet and just like leaned and hunched over, and I like wanted to be left alone, and I was like in there by myself. And so I'm sitting there, and then as I'm like sitting there and I'm like finally like in a spot that like I feel comfortable, the anesthesiologist walks in and is like, hey, I'm ready for your epidural, whatever. So by the time I got to the bed, the anesthesiologist had an emergency. So he's like, he sets everything up and he's like, I have an emergency, I have to go, I will be back when I can. So I'm just like sitting there and I like feel so defeated because I'm like, why did I wait so long to get the epidural? 1, and 2, why couldn't I just get my butt off of the toilet and into the bed so I could get the epidural and I would be so much more comfortable, because now he has an emergency and I don't know when he's coming back. And I was just like so upset. And I was just like over it. You could see all over my face that I was just like over it. He ended up not coming back for an hour. So that was 1 more hour of contractions that I had to feel. And then when I got the epidural, it was like the best thing that I've ever got. Like the best thing. I was like a completely different person. And people ask me now, they're like, was the epidural, like, did it hurt? Honestly, my contractions were so bad that the needle going into my back, I swear I did not feel. Like, I felt a pinch, but like I was not concerned about that because my contractions were probably 10 times more worse than me thinking about this needle that's going into my back. And 2, I'm not really afraid of needles. Like, it doesn't really bother me. So that probably played a part in it too. But to me, I feel like my contractions were so much worse than the epidural that I got. But yes, I got the epidural, and I remember laying in bed after, and the nurse was like, how do you feel? And I was just like, I feel amazing. Like, I felt so good. The draft was the one, so I was like watching the draft with my parents and my best friend, and we were just like laughing and doing all these things, and I was just like, guys, I feel great. Like, I was like taking pictures and all these things, because I was like, this is like the best thing I've ever gotten. And it was like, kudos to all the women that do it naturally, because I wish that I could, but I'm telling you, the epidural was like,
feeling good now, huh? The epidural kicked in?
I'm so happy.
Kicked in for you?
so yeah, I got the epidural, and I remember like shivering. I was like shivering a lot. I think it's just one of the side effects from getting the epidural. I was like bundled in blankets on top of me, and I was like, why am I shivering like this? But yeah, that's normal. And I was like flipping from side to side. So I feel like the longer I was on one side, the epidural was like only like getting to one side of my body, so I was feeling more pressure on the other sides. I just kept like flipping from side to side to try to like even it out. So yeah, after I got the epidural, it definitely felt good. Like I didn't feel the pain of my contractions, but I did feel like a little pressure, but like it wasn't anything nearly as bad as like I probably could get through it just talking and laughing and like not even really realizing that I was having a contraction. So yeah, that, but then as it kind of like, it started wearing off, so they had to like increase my dose, just because I was starting to feel my contractions more, and I was still not even 8 centimeters yet. So they increased my dose so that it would like, I could feel it a little bit more, and I wasn't really feeling my contractions. So that helped. So they checked me at 8 centimeters, I mean at like 1 a.m. and I was 8.5 centimeters. And I was 100% effaced, obviously. My water did not break yet. And they weren't really concerned about my water breaking because the baby and me were doing so well that they, and we're waiting, and like Logan's dad was coming from Chicago. So we were just trying to push it off as long as we could so that he could make it for the delivery. So we ended up not breaking my water when I was 8.5 centimeters, and we were just gonna wait until like the last possible second to like break it, which is, I don't know why. I feel like some people's water breaks like instantly, but mine was like stubborn and like it did not break. So I was intact, hanging on. And then I eventually got a Foley catheter placed, which I didn't feel at that point. Like I was having pressure, so like a Foley going in like didn't really faze me. And I remember the nurse saying like, once I insert the Foley and your bladder empties, you know, the baby's probably gonna shift, and you probably, you know, could start dilating more, and your water could break and things like that, and then things are gonna start progressing a little bit faster, which wasn't the case. So around 2 a.m. they ended up breaking my water, which I thought it was gonna hurt, like, but it didn't. Honestly, nothing fazed me. Like nothing really hurt. And then around 4 a.m. they checked me, and I was 10 centimeters dilated, and I was like ready to push. But I remember like getting from the 2 hour, like when I was 8 centimeters, I was like calling the nurse in, like they kept checking me because I was like, I feel like I'm 10 centimeters. Like I feel like I could feel the pressure of Logan so bad. And at this point my epidural was like wearing off. So I wasn't feeling contractions, but I was feeling a lot of pressure. And I was like, there's no way that I'm not 10 centimeters because I feel like I can push like right now.
Okay. She's doing good though. She's hanging in there. Yeah. So.
It's in my back, it's in my stomach, it's everywhere. Oh, this is a bad one. Oh. Breathe through it.
Breathe, yeah, breathe through it. Breathe through it.
There you go. You gotta keep breathing. Feel it. Don't cry. I don't feel like I am. You're doing so good. Are you kidding me? You know what? You're gonna be...
But yeah, so 4 a.m. I was ready to push. Pushing was an adventure. I pushed for about an hour and 2 minutes to be exact. But I remember my first push, the nurse was like, all right, we're gonna work on this because it'll get better, because I guess my push was just awful. I was like, I don't know if I know how to push. I was like trying. They were telling, I feel like I read like push like you have to poop, and that's what I was trying to do, but I just had to get the hang of it because my first push was awful apparently, according to the nurse. So we like laughed about it, and I remember, this is like gross, but I remember like I like pushed, and 1, I farted, and 2, I pooped, which honestly, I didn't really have a fear about pooping because I'm a nurse and I was just like, whatever, if it happens. But I remember like it smelled, and I was just like, guys, I'm so sorry. Like, and the nurse we were just like cracking up because I was like, guys, like, I am so sorry. And the nurse was like, this happens to everyone, whatever. And I could just like feel her like just like pushing it to the side and like being so nonchalant about it. But we like laugh about it now because I'm like, that is gross. But yeah, so like I got better with my pushes, and I pushed for about an hour. The nurse was majority, like the main one that was in there, and I had a mirror so I could like see, you know, myself pushing. And it kind of like, to me, I mean, for me, it like was like motivation. Like when I would see like Logan's head pop out and like go back in, like I was like, I'm right there. Like, so I would like want to push even more and try to push as hard as I could. So it helped. Like I liked it looking at myself pushing. But yeah, so I pushed, and I remember like, 1, there was so much pressure that pushing helped. Like when I would feel the pressure and like the contraction, like the pushing against it was like the best feeling ever. Like I for 10 seconds, take a break, push for 10 seconds, and they would kind of encourage me, and they knew if I was right there to like give it one more push. They would just keep telling me, give me one more, give me one more. And I was just like, I can't, like I was so tired by the end. The guy was like, I can't push anymore. But women are like amazing, and I like power. So I was pushing, and I remember like it felt like, I describe it as like a ring of fire. Logan, I don't know if it was because of her hair, she had like a head full of hair, and it burned so bad every time I would push, and like her head would like come out and go back in, because I don't like, it felt like, I call it a ring of fire. Like it was burning so bad. I don't know if that's just like hair burn, I don't know what you call it, but it was like an awful feeling every single time. And I feel like every push I would see her head like pop out and then her head pop back in. So that was like kind of getting me defeated too, because I was like, I'm pushing so much and I'm doing all that I can, and her head's coming out, and then as soon as my contraction stops and I stop pushing, her head just like hides back in. And I was just like, why does it keep going in and out? Like I'm pushing so hard and I'm doing the work to get her out, and then she just like slides right back in, and I'm like, Logan, come out. Yeah, so it took me about an hour to get Logan out, and at the end, like I was pushing as hard as I could to get her out. Like I was using every breath that I had to get this child out, because she was being stubborn and like not coming out. But
It didn't do good.
Huh?
I pushed.
It takes a little bit of practice.
No.
You'll get it.
Okay.
Okay? Got your leg?
Yeah.
Relax it between. Let me know when the next one. I can't pull under her heel. You pull back, okay? Pushing? Okay. Down your bottom.
That's it. Harder, 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 harder.
Good. Take a deep breath. Push again. Come on. Count to 10. 2.
That's it.
3,
More.
5, 6, 7,
Good
8,
push.
9, 10.
Let it out. Do it again.
Down over. Come on. Push.
You're doing so good.
2,
You did so good, guys.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Try another. Yep. Push against it.
You got it,
Good
babe.
job.
Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Good job. Relax. Okay.
Gosh.
All right. Put those legs down if you want.
Oh, goodness.
Take her catheter out, I think.
Ooh.
We definitely have some pushing to do, but that last push, you like, I don't know, you were on a mission or something. Good. Keep going, harder, harder, harder. 9, 10, let it out. It's all right. Push if you can.
Okay, I can.
Deep breath. Stay focused. You got this. Good. Good. Good job. You're so close. Good job. Oh, sweetie. Hi. I'm gonna get screaming.
Hour, and at 5:02 a.m. she finally came into the world, and I got her out, and I was so happy. But I was also so exhausted. Like holding her, and I was just like crying and like, you know, so emotional. I feel like every person is after pushing a human out of your vagina. So I was just so emotional, and I say this till this day, like pushing Logan out was great, but getting the placenta out was probably the best feeling. Like it was like once I pushed Logan out, I still felt like I had like so much inside my stomach. Like I didn't feel like, I'm trying to think of the word, like I didn't feel like that, like you take the, like, you know how like you do something and you take that deep breath, like, oh, it's over. Like I didn't feel that way, because I just felt like there was something just like still lingering around in my stomach, and they were like pushing on my stomach trying to get the placenta out after Logan. They finally got it out, and when they got it out, I felt amazing. Like it just felt like I was like back to like how I was 3 years ago. Like I was like, wow, that is like amazing. So yeah, that was like an amazing feeling, like getting the placenta out. So they got that out, and then I remember like holding Logan, and you know, there's so much going on. There's nurses everywhere, doctors, all your family's there. Everyone's like crying about Logan coming out and stuff. And it's like an emotional, Logan's crying, she's on my chest, and I'm just like, you know, new mom, and I'm just feeling all the feels and stuff like that. And I remember being there, and then all of a sudden, like I felt like a pinch, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then I felt like another pinch, and I'm like, what's going on? And the doctor's like, it's okay, focus on Logan, focus on your baby, like whatever. And I'm like, can someone please tell me like why I'm feeling pinches down there? And they're stitching me up. So apparently it was like a bloodbath. Logan tore me. It wasn't a bad tear that the doctor said. It was like, I forget, like a second grade, a grade 2 maybe. I forget what they say, but it wasn't bad. I needed like 6 stitches, but I felt every stitch. I don't know if they numbed me. I want to say they didn't numb me. I'm not really sure if they numbed me, but all I know is they kept telling me to focus on Logan and that I was going to be okay. And all I know is that I was having Logan like on my chest, but all I could focus on was the stitching, because I could feel every stitch, and it was like awful. So I think I got like 6 stitches because Logan tore. She was 8 pounds 7 ounces, so she was like a nice chunky little baby. So I'm not surprised that I tore, but she so yeah, that was awful. Like I feel like I still like feel and can like know exactly what it felt like to get stitched like that and out, and like she was healthy, she was crying and things like that. It was like best feeling I think of my life. But it was about like 27 hours of labor, a very, very, very long time, I feel like, but I got through it and I managed. And yeah, it was very emotional. I was like, my roller coaster of emotions were up and down all day long. I went from sad to happy to crying to frustrated to saying I can't do this anymore to I can do it to feeling pain and not feeling pain. So it was a bunch of roller coaster emotions, all for my beautiful daughter. But yeah, Logan Brielle, 5:02 a.m. she was born. She was 8 pounds 7 ounces, and she was 21 inches, and it was great. So that is like my birth story. Postpartum is definitely another story that is, it was an adventure, my postpartum. So I would definitely talk about that in another video, but I hope, you know, that kind of gave you an insight of kind of how a birth can kind of go. I mean, everyone is going to be different. Everyone's going to experience it different. Overall, I think that my labor went pretty well. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.